Introduction. Love takes off the masks that we fear we cannot live without and know we cannot live within. I use the word love here not merely in the personal sense, but as a state of being or a state of grace. Not in the infantile American sense of being made happy, but in the tough and universal sense of quest and daring and growth. James Baldwin, The Fire Next Time. I was putting my man face on. Chauncey, research participant. The pressure for men to mask starts early. Many men can't remember when they didn't know what was expected of them as men. Wearing these masks can seem like it will keep us safe, but we can also lose ourselves behind them. Chauncey had been masking since he was 10 years old. More than a decade later, he could see how he was losing himself behind the mask. When he was 10, his father was incarcerated, and Chauncey became the man of the house. No one told him he needed to take on this responsibility. He just knew it. Chauncey had to put away his boyhood emotions, including crying and smiling. Back when I was younger, I never really showed much emotion to anybody. I would laugh, but I wouldn't cry. I would look down, and they would be like, "What is wrong?" And I would always have a constant face. I never really felt much like who I was because I felt that maybe it was me putting my man face on, I guess. 12 years later, Chauncey was a college senior leading the Black student organization on campus. I was interviewing him for a study on men's identity. Through our conversations, Chauncey shared what society expected of college men, where and how he had learned those expectations, how he fit or did not fit them, and how he navigated this in his final year in college. For Chauncey, Batman was a model for the stoic and unemotional masculinity he had been taught. He was also influenced by how Malcolm X continued to learn, grow, and change throughout his life. Chauncey learned much about gender from an intergroup dialogue course on race and racism that a past girlfriend had encouraged him to take. His words slowed as he shared a recent story revealing the consequences of putting his man face on. He had been wearing this mask for so long that in some ways, he could not connect with his true self behind the mask. Chauncey had recently attended a memorial service for a professor who had unexpectedly passed away. Although her passing was difficult, he could not fully access or express those emotions. I had known her for about a year now. When she passed away, that hurt me. I wanted to cry. I really felt like it was in me. But I couldn't. And then this Friday, there was a memorial service in the chapel. And they were describing her life, and I really felt down. But I don't know why. I didn't cry. After wearing his man face for over a decade, he didn't know how to remove it. Masking. Chauncey is one of 10 men participating in an ongoing research study I've been conducting since 2006. His story of putting his man face on is unique. However, the metaphor of wearing a mask resonated with all the participants. They described masking as covering up what they feared wasn't manly enough and projecting an image that would be seen as masculine enough. The mask metaphor for performing to external expectations is not unique to the participants in my research. Cultural critic James Baldwin wrote about masks, as you heard in the epigraph to start this chapter. Sociologist Irving Goffman discussed people's dual lives in front of the stage and behind the scenes. Gender scholar Judith Butler theorized about gender as a performance. The 2015 documentary The Mask You Live In explored this metaphor and its impact on men and the rest of us. I relate to Chauncey's story of putting his man face on and losing himself. I remember being 10 years old and sledding with friends on a snowy January day on the hill near the church in the small town in Wisconsin where I grew up. As we hiked up the hill for another run, one of the neighborhood kids I knew a little asked, "What kind of music do you like?" I still remember my anxiety when he put me on the spot. Because he was an entire grade ahead of me, I thought he had the whole world and life figured out. I had to get this right. impress him, and above all, not get this wrong and embarrass myself.